All right, everyone, there's a really funny article right now on medium.com, archived, of course, link in the description. I'll go through it a little bit and talk about this because we've got some propaganda here, some clear defamation against Andy Warski by this particular so-called journalist. The individual is Janice Jones, aspiring writer, women's rights advocate, former Twitter user. Now, people often, they'll rage quit Twitter because somebody insulted them. And when you defame people who have 6- and 7-figure subscriber totals on YouTube on a habitual basis, yeah, you probably at some point you're going to rage quit because you're going to get tidal waves of people calling you out. It's like Holt. Half of his tweets in the last 24 hours have been, I'm being bullied. You know, oh, people are they're trolling me. They're sending me troll memes and stuff. It's like, yeah. You're tangling with me. You're trying to defame Sargon. You've already got the alt-right not liking you, and that's self-explanatory. That can't be helped because you're, on the left. Christensen is getting into it. He's saying he'll host, a debate with you, and you just won't do it. So, yeah, naturally, you're going to have quite a sum of people. The collective audience is probably like 1 million people. No shit, you're going to have a few Twitter users who are going to say, hey, haha, I'm going to send him a funny meme and it'll distract him. Hey, I'm going to insult him. I'm sorry, that's the way the internet works. It happens to me. If I were to talk down to somebody, I would expect that some of their hardened fans would insult me, and I would get, messages from them. They'd tweet at me. I'd get angry comments from them. Why do you think that I try to avoid the interpersonal drama and just talk about, current events and the things that I want to talk about? Why do you think I try not to get into this stuff? I'm not going to go gunning after anybody. It's stupid. It's pointless. It's like poking a bear in some cases. It's not a great idea. Yeah, you can get yourself attention. 10 more people subscribe to your channel. Woo, what a great time. But you got to read the title of this. Andy Warski, YouTube's new alt-right star. Woo! Basically, the idea is that the only reason why he's popular is a 6-figure sum of Nazis have subscribed him because he talks about Spencer and says, satirical things about women's rights. Now, Warski, as far as I know, does not actually want women to be barefoot in the kitchen. I believe that is called satire. But here's a propaganda method by the legacy media, another one for you to consider. Because the average reader of a lot of these sites isn't cued into the subculture on YouTube, or maybe 4chan subculture, Reddit, or something like that, if you write an otherwise defamatory article that's technically not because it's just taking somebody out of context, something they said, something they posted, or a site, the content of the site out of context. Like if you write an article saying 4chan is full of Nazis because, here's one Jew post, and you ignore every other post, somebody who knows nothing about 4chan might take that at face value. They may think, oh, 4chan is basically a Nazi place. Of course, that's just one post on one board, and you're extrapolating that to the entire website. But the average person isn't part of that subculture, so they're not going to question it. They're just going to passively read medium.com or BuzzFeed or something. And that's how they get their reality. And so it's a form of propaganda. It's the one advantage that the legacy media still has, is that there are a lot of out-of-touch people who know nothing about these various web subcultures and judge them based on second-hand material they see. It's like that Fire and Fury guy. Did you see this? This is funny, too. I was going to make a video about it, but I'll just wrap it up in here because it's like a TLDR version. Basically, the dude that wrote that Fire and Fury bullshit, he came out and said, well, I can't even necessarily say for certain that everything in the book is true. His own book! That's because it's relying on secondhand sources in many cases, so what's the point? It's Steve Bannon's contact there. So apparently it's okay to defame people as long as you have a good cop-out. That's what the legacy media does all the time. It's like when Right-Wing Watch, when it conflates maybe me or Sargon with being Nazi gatekeepers. Now, when I queried Holt about this the other day, what did he do? He posted a video where I had reviewed one of Kuzniar's works, Veronica Kuzniar. Now, the problem is that if you just read the title and if you just look at the title Black Nazis, and look at the fact that Kuzniar has contact with people who are, on the white nationalist side, it's just a guilt by association piece of bullshit. But the average person would look at that and say, okay, it's probably a Nazi writer. She's writing about Holocaust revisionism. Then you look, and she's also written a book on the topic of the Hitler worship cult, and I proudly tweeted out this picture to Holt. which is specifically about how she's being maligned and mistreated and misunderstood by every white nationalist on the internet. So she's publicly disclaiming the entire thing, but you're not going to see an admission that I'm right from Right Wing Watch or any of these groups. They will continue to nitpick little snippets, a piece of a video, a single title, a single comment or message. They will take that and extrapolate an entire worldview, an entire personality from it, because it's the only way they can attack the alt media. We are their competitors, and it's damn well time that we form some sort of non-aggression pact, at least in principle. Debate all you want, disagree all you want. You can have all the debates and disagreements you want, but ultimately, at the end of the day, our main competition, the bear, as opposed to the mosquito, is the legacy media. They got more money. They'd have a larger fan base, or at least, did a few years ago. I think now it's in decline past alt media at this point. I think we've got a bigger total fan base, and it's much more hardened than maybe a CNN or a Fox News. But not if we don't stand together. Then we're just a bunch of little tribes fighting each other while the Romans come, so to speak. Maybe a declining Roman Empire, but they still get all those legions, and our tribes look mighty, mighty weak on their own. That's the problem. We need to stick together on that. So, like here, I'm going to support Andy Warski. No, he's not an alt-rightist, and the fact is, his channel was already large. They're acting as though his channel was tiny and inconsequential. He had no fans. But then he started whining and dining the alt-right and made comments about women's rights. All of a sudden, he was the most popular streamer on the internet. That's not how it worked. It didn't happen. That'd be like someone saying that about me. Oh, Styx was nothing. And then 4chan trolls piled aboard. Well, yeah, a lot of people who used 4chan, who saw a bunch of threads about me, joined the channel. But it's in the context of me predicting the election. It has nothing to do with, hey, I went on 4chan, shitposted Hitler all day, and people joined me. Yeah, that's not what happened. But taken out of context, you could probably make a story about how that was somehow true. In a roundabout way. Guilt by association. Lie by omission. Half-truths. Mistaking satire for realistic literalism. That's what the legacy media does all the time. They don't understand web culture. A lot of these people, they tend to be older. Like funnily enough, and I didn't realize this, Warski's actually 15 days older than me. Like, he just turned 30, I think, yesterday. And in the middle of January is my 30th birthday. So it's fun. We may not be like little kids, but we're not exactly elderly, if you know what I mean. I got a few good decades left in me, let's just say. By the way, I was thinking earlier, if I ever went bald, it would kind of suck, because instead of looking like a crazy wizard, I'd have to look like a crazy monk, but I think I could pull it off. I'd just get a brown robe, and it'd be okay, I guess. I need stuff, facial hairs. Maybe I'd have like the Gigi Allen thing. I'd get rid of this part of the goatee and just keep the sides. And it'd be all disheveled. And then I'd grow it out really long and like curl it around so I'd look like maybe a crazy pirate or something. I think that could work. Get a wig. I'll be like Michael Jackson. Only it'll be like a blue wig. I can blend in with the social justice warriors more if I do that. I just have to put on a skirt and a blue wig and I'll be fine. Then I can infiltrate their little gatherings and take recordings and slap them on YouTube for money, like the left-wing media thinks people like me do all the time. Warski has been on the platform for many years, but it's only in the last few months that his channel took off. Yeah, he was inconsequential. That six-figure subtotal meant absolutely nothing, but the few tens of thousands of extra people he's added in the last couple of months, that really does matter. That makes or breaks the fact that he's popular. You've really made it when you get defamed by the legacy media. Like, I've had articles of me, like, Right Wing Watch talks about me in a poor way, and it's lies, but, they get away with it. They basically take shit off Rational Wiki and extrapolate it to truth, which is, dumb, but they do that. I think I was on a Mashable article. I think I was included in a Gawker article at one point on, like, alt media stuff. But, he now releases daily rants filled with racism, sexism, and general abuse, often telling his opponents to go kill yourself. It's called humor. It's called, that's the blood sport of YouTube. It's also a lot closer to what YouTube maybe was 10 years ago. That was so common, but you didn't care because here's the thing. The legacy media hates YouTube personalities, I think, worse than anyone. Like, it's like, hey, this person has like 1 million people on their Facebook group, and sideline, this person got really popular on Twitter, yeah, maybe a little pissed off. YouTube, though, is like, they hate us the most. Because they would publicly rant. You remember, like on Fox or CNN, they're like, oh, YouTube's such a funny gimmick, haha, here's cat videos and stuff. They paid no attention to us. And then for a few years there, they were like, oh yeah, you know, some of these people get big, but they're never gonna, can't change anyone's votes. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't have journalism degrees, haha. They don't have like pro studios. Yeah, basically not taking anyone seriously. You're mocking us. Now all of a sudden we're somehow responsible for the presidential election and we're all working for Russia or we're Nazis. That's their new line. You know, it sort of keys into what Mahatma Gandhi said. What was it? First they ignore you, then they belittle you, and then you win, or something like that. Yeah, I think we're progressing towards the then you win part, because we're all gaining power. You know, Warski's meteoric rise. I'm rising quite swiftly now again. It looks like YouTube's algorithm, they reverted it or something. Mal New is getting up there towards 1 million subs. I know Paul Joseph Watson, he's like second in command or something at InfoWars. And I can remember when his total was, you know, like 500,000. Now he's, I think, at 1.3 million or something. Our collective audience is sheerly enormous, and it's growing over time. It's like when people say, there was another hit piece like against YouTube in general, involving PewDiePie with Business Insider a few days ago, and they're like, oh, YouTubers have stopped growing, we've reached peak YouTube. No, I feel just fine. It's a shift in YouTube among the audience that's there, but trust me, it's going to keep growing. If YouTube ever stops growing, it'll be because of Google's own censorship policies that you helped them to think they needed to implement. See, they're trying to kill YouTube off. They're hoping that that'll become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Daily rants filled with racism, sexism, and general abuse. No, if they were, he would have been banned. But he doesn't do that. He satirizes things, you just take it all seriously. Watch one of his videos below where he tells protesters at Berkeley, among other things, I wish you were aborted. Oh no! Oh, no, he went after the protesters, the sacred protesters. He's allowed to say that if he wants. Who cares? Look, the lamestream media supports war and torture and surveillance and censorship and the general degradation of the Western world. Cry me a river over somebody saying a mean thing to a protester in Berkeley. Especially when some of those Berkeley protesters, I believe in the context there, you have to understand, some of those people, weren't they getting violent, throwing piss bottles at the police? Yeah, I don't care if they get insulted. The video has almost 50,000 views and a 95% like ratio. Well, getting 50,000 views now makes you newsworthy. Wow. Man, shouldn't I be in the news a little bit more? Give me a little bit of credit. Where's my credit for driving the new zeitgeist of apparent far-left, all-right, evil Nazi stuff? You know, Right Wing Watch gives me credit. Why can't I have a defamation piece on Medium.com so that people will read it, go to my channel, and subscribe to it when they realize that it's full of shit? Why can't I get that treatment? Damn it, Warski, you're stealing our thunder. I'm just joking, but you know. No, it's that's full of crap. And the thing is, some of these journalists know that it's full of crap. Others that don't, they're honestly totally ignorant. They know nothing about YouTube subculture. They don't know satire if it hit them in the face. They actually think that we're all like far-right Nazis and stuff like that. Like a whole, apparently, maybe he actually believes what he's saying. Which would be sad. It would show like, hey dude, you need to study the issue more. But I mean, come on. If somebody's a total libertarian, I think Warski himself, on the stream last night, he actually disclaimed identitarianism. He's like, no, I'm not an identitarian. Like JF leaned, I think, more towards it than he did. Now, I'm not an identitarian either, but they're going to conflate me with them because I'm willing to talk. Like, I'm going to go on Tara McCarthy's show. She'll be moderating. I'm talking to I think another alt-right figure, and I'm going to be debating that topic. And I'm sure someone will make a hippies, ooh, Styx is willing to talk to the white nationalist without saying fuck you, without saying, oh, you're such a horrible person, deriding them the entire, like I'm supposed to show up on the stream, grab my crotch in a crude manner, and dance around shouting red-faced and start ranting incoherently until I get kicked off. That's going to solve so many things. It's going to make me look smart, it's going to destroy Nazism forever, and if I don't do that, it means a tacit endorsement of white nationalism. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Hold yourselves to the same friggin' account. I don't see any of you just ruminating on that issue. And in fact, it's like when Spencer, or one of these other people, gives like an interview to a CNN or an MSNBC or a Gawker or something. They sit down with him and talk and do a write-up, you know, even if it's defamatory. Hey, you talk to a white nationalist. You talk to an ethno-nationalist. So doesn't that mean you're a Nazi for giving them greater exposure? Yeah, that's the logic you use towards me or Warski or anybody else on YouTube. Sargon's a Nazi. Even though he did spend most of his time shouting at Richard Spencer and saying basically a horrible individual, he's still a Nazi too, because, you know, he didn't immediately sign off and go make 10 videos about how he was so sorry that he temporarily spoke with evil Richard Spencer. Now, we're going to have dialogue online. So far, there's a stubborn resistance against basically being gulled into not talking with each other for fear of guilt by association. And I think that's a good thing. Like, I don't really care who I associate with. I'm willing to speak with or debate various topics, and I'm going to treat them well. If I'm on someone else's platform, I'm not going to mistreat them. Just like if they came on my channel, do a live stream, and they started shouting incoherently about how I was an evil, despicable person, don't you think I would just kick them off and say, well, I guess that didn't go well? And then I'd just deliver a little monologue and sign off myself, or I'd try to get someone else on board who actually was capable of having a rational discussion. Yeah, so what would be the point? It would be self-sabotage for a person to do something like that. It appears, though, that in order to try to hobble the alt media, the legacy media wants a Warski either not to invite people on or to mistreat them if he does. And that otherwise, by associating in a more friendly manner, being able to have a chat or being able to have a proper debate or even maybe just a heated discussion on an ideological topic, it's a tacit endorsement of their views. So everyone's a Stixist, as I said. Everybody now that I've spoken with, you've all endorsed me. Now I guess I'm your god or something. I mean, why not? If it works that way for an identitarian, why can't it work that way for my ideology? You've all endorsed me, ha ha ha. You know, I've got tens of millions of fans now. I'll be bigger than CNN pretty soon. You know, if only that were the case, it would be a wonderful world, but it's not. That's because the legacy media is full of crap. That's about all. Peace out.